Good morning, welcome to BenBinFro Thought for the Day for Friday, 15th of July. For the last 3 weeks or so, the lectionary Old Testament readings have been from the book of Judges. So the stories of the flawed but heroic tribal leaders who emerged from time to time in the centuries before the Israelites opted to be ruled by kings. So far as I know, these readings have not featured regularly in Thought for the Day over that period, and for very good reasons. But today's is the final reading in the series, so I thought we should give it a go. Today's reading is actually from the closing chapters of Judges, which don't follow the pattern of the main part of the book. In these closing chapters, there are, in fact, no judges, no prophets, no Philistines, no Canaanites, no Baal or Baal or any other foreign god, none of the usual Old Testament storytelling trappings. What we have instead is a story which gives a glimpse of the life of everyday people among the fractious Israelite tribes in this era, with everyone trying to carve out for themselves a living in the harsh, violent, and largely lawless environment of what was to become Israel. It's quite depressing stuff. Not a decent human being in sight, let alone a prophet or a hero. A kind of Game of Thrones without the thrones, and indeed without any redeeming feature. But these closing chapters are there to make a point. In those days, they intone repeatedly, there was no king in Israel. All the people did what was right in their own eyes. The point for us is that, kings or no kings, we're still pretty good at doing what is right in our own eyes while wrapping it up as something else. It does us no harm to be reminded of where that can lead. The designated reading is chapter 17. It needs to be read with chapter 18 to make sense of this bizarre story. I've shortened it to the extent that I can, but there's still rather more reading than thinking today, I'm afraid. I'm reading from NRSV. There was a man in the hill country of Ephraim whose name was Micah. He said to his mother, "The 1,100 pieces of silver that were taken from you, about which you uttered a curse and even spoke it in my hearing, that silver is in my possession. I took it, and now I will return it to you." And his mother said, "May my son be blessed by the Lord. I consecrate the silver to the Lord for my son, to make an idol of cast metal." So his mother took 200 pieces of silver and gave it to the silversmith, who made it into an idol of cast metal, and it was in the house of Micah. This man, Micah, had a shrine, and he made an ephod, and teraphim. In those days there was no king in Israel. All the people did what was right in their own eyes. An itinerant young Levite from Bethlehem in Judah, passing through the hill country of Ephraim, was persuaded to stay on in Micah's house as his priest, and became like one of his sons to him. Then Micah said, "Now I know that the Lord will prosper me, because the Levite has become my priest." In those days, the tribe of the Danites was seeking for itself a territory to live in. So the Danites sent 5 valiant men to spy out the land. When they came to the hill country of Ephraim, to the house of Micah, they stayed there. They recognized the young Levite. They asked him, "What are you doing in this place?" he told them what Micah had done for him. Then they said to him, "Inquire of God, that we may know whether the mission we are undertaking will succeed." The priest replied, "Go in peace. The mission you are on is under the eye of the Lord." The 5 men went on, and when they came to Laish, they observed the people who were there living securely, quiet and unsuspecting, lacking nothing on earth, and possessing wealth. The 5 reported back to their kinsfolk, "God has indeed given this place into your hands." So 600 men of the Danite clan, armed with weapons of war, set out for Laish. On their way, they passed through the hill country of Ephraim and came to the house of Micah. Then, while the 600 men stood by the entrance of the gate, the 5 men who had gone to spy out the land entered the house and took the idol of cast metal, the ephod, and the teraphim. The Levite priest saw them and said, "What are you doing?" They said to him, "Shut up, put your hand over your mouth, and come with us, and be to us a father and a priest. Is it better for you to be a priest to the house of one person, or to be the priest to a tribe and clan of Israel?" The priest accepted the offer. He took the ephod, the teraphim, and the idol and went along with the Danites. The Danites resumed their journey. Men from the houses near Micah's house gave chase and overtook the Danites. They shouted to the Danites, who turned round and said to Micah, "What's the matter with you that you come with such a company?" He replied, "You take my gods that I made and my priest, and you go away, and what have I left? How then can you ask me what is the matter?" The Danites said to him, "You'd better not let your voice be heard among us, or else hot-tempered fellows will attack you, and you will lose your life and the lives of your household." Then the Danites went their way. When Micah saw that they were too strong for him, he turned and went back to his home. The Danites, having taken what Micah had made, and the priest who belonged to him, came to Laish, to a people quiet and unsuspecting, put them to the sword, and burned down the city. One striking thing about this story is that everybody involved routinely invokes the name of Yahweh, but they do so in support of their own agenda, of what is right in their own eyes, in search of comfort, not of truth, not of what is right in the eyes of God. Is today's world any different? We worry about the breakdown of political and moral authority in today's world, with its plethora of comforting but ultimately empty idols and aspirations. As C.S. Lewis put it, "If you look for truth, you may find comfort in the end. If you look for comfort, you will get neither comfort nor truth, only wishful thinking to begin with, and in the end, despair." And here it is in this reading. Despair, a crushing spiritual void in all its grimness. But if you need to cheer yourself up, turn over a couple of pages in your Bible. The next book in the Bible starts rather unpromisingly. "In the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land." But it blossoms, of course, into the lovely story of Ruth and Naomi and Boaz, and the start of the line of David. Time and again, throughout history, God gives us hope in the most desperate of circumstances, from the most unlikely of sources. And it's Friday. Have a good weekend.